President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered the State of the Nation address last night. He admitted the country faces a number of challenges and outlined some plans to deal with them. But did his speech inspire public confidence? A Human Sciences Research Council report has found the public is steadily losing trust in government. To discuss if the SONA can turn this around, we're joined by Gary Pienaar from the HSRC. Very good morning to you, Gary Pienaar. Can he turn the trust around?
Good morning, Jane. Well, I think I was very encouraged by what the President had to say last night. I think he was very focused, very practical. He conceded a number of areas where we have serious problems and particularly a crisis in youth unemployment. And I think that he was very practical in the measures that he announced. He had met with the youth and the NYDA earlier yesterday to announce a joined-up policy initiative based in the presidency to deal with youth unemployment. He was focused on skills development, very practical skills, short courses to train young people, and announced an initiative to put young people into work, into paid work, while they acquire work experience. So I think in terms of unemployment, our social attitude survey says that is the country's greatest concern. Most people are gravely concerned with that national crisis. Crime comes afterwards. And I think he did announce additional measures to review the law relating to gender-based violence, which I think everybody is extremely concerned about. And so I think at least on those two measures, I would say there was a measure of confidence instilled. I think thirdly as well, there was a recognition that there's a need to provide additional capacity for electricity generation outside of Eskom. And of course, that's another paramount concern for all South Africans, given the current a long stretch of load shedding expected ahead of us. And he was announcing that cities that are in good financial standing and can afford it can procure their own energy. He is encouraging renewable energy sources and other IPPs to come into the market and provide additional sources of energy. So I think there was a number of practical measures that have been announced and confirmed that I think do instill some confidence. Whether or not implementation follows, I think, that's always the big question. It's easy to make promises and to make commitments and to make announcements of initiatives, but implementation, I think, is where confidence will really be built.
Yes, I mean, that's the key to unlocking our potential success, isn't it? And Gary, how important do you think it was that he didn't make big promises as he has done in the past, and he didn't underestimate the problems?
Yeah, I think there was no mention, for example, of a bullet train as there was last year. There was a mention of a smart city in Gauteng that would provide perhaps a large range of innovations, he said, that could stimulate work and manufacturing. It would also show us what we can do to move away from our carbon-intensive society. Of course, there's a hint there of smart technologies. That in itself presents something of a challenge. I don't think we've really thought through as a country what are the human rights, what are the employment implications of smart technologies, and I think that's something that we need to consider. It's all very well getting on the fourth industrial revolution bandwagon, but what are the implications then for unemployment? Can we do this in a way that does not add to unemployment, but rather, as he mentioned, does contribute towards the inclusive economy, which is the big vision in terms of the National Development Plan.
Yes, he didn't really touch on job losses, did he? And we are going to see a whole lot more in the coming months. Is that because he was focusing more on stimulating the economy? So obviously, yes, the more you stimulate the economy, the fewer people lose their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yes, look, I mean, he did focus on the positive. He did mention, of course, that SAA, for example, the business rescue practitioners are due to present their plan. Last week, the President has said, like many South Africans, he's not happy with the cancellation of SAA routes. That will possibly lead to some job losses. But on the other hand, the possibility remains that the business rescue plan might entail the slow reintroduction of some routes as liquidity returns to SAA. So I don't think we should necessarily become too despondent. I think also private sector airlines might well pick up some of the slack in terms of people who might be retrenched from SAA might join those other airlines, because there is clearly a need for air travel. He also recognized, however, that government cannot do this alone. He and government cannot stop the slow bleeding of our employment statistics. They need private sector to create employment, to create jobs in a variety of sectors. And I think he focused last night on creating some of the confidence needed for the private sector to believe that that might be possible, that it might be worth their while to stay invested and to continue investing more in the economy. And so I think that was perhaps his primary objective, was to create a momentum towards confidence rather than focusing on the admitted negatives that he did recognize, but with less emphasis perhaps than the positive that he sought to bring to us last night.
Very good to speak to you, Gary Pienaar.